Welcome to another episode of dailystraits.com. This is your host, June Ramli. Today we are going to speak to Aswara, Associate Professor Technologist, Dr. Azril Ismail, Vice Rector of Academic Affairs. So Aswara is a Malaysian higher learning institution in the performing area, which is supported fully by the Malaysian government under the Ministry of Unity, Culture, Arts and Heritage Malaysia. It is a form of higher learning institution which provides learning, research, and academic publishing, as well as professional consultant service in arts and culture, as well as heritage, which aims to produce a skilled artist and integrity author in their areas, besides strengthening the national art heritage. So in principle, Aswara concentrates on art learning, to produce educated and professional performance to fulfill their national art industry. So it is responsible for producing graduates that are able to become a mentalist, supporter, inspirer, actor, and practitioner of art, culture, and heritage in research and culture conservation and various types of heritage preservations. So without further ado, let's invite Associate Professor Dr. Azril Ismail to the show. So thank you so much for joining us in such short notice, and I really appreciate it. So how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Miss June. Weather is good. I'm in good shape of health, and it's a good day to do this dialogue and this said interview. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so this is let's dive right into the question. So
Okay.
let's get to the nitty gritty of how many students does Aswara have today, and the most popular course that you have on offer at the moment.
Already. Aswara have an estimated of 1,300 students. These are all the said courses in combination, in which they are from certificates all the way towards PhD level. We have 28 programs in our care. These are arriving from 7 faculties, also alongside with foundation, alongside with the postgraduates department as well. So what we're seeing here is a diverse range in terms on performing arts, and in particularly what we see is in the areas of music, dance, theater, film and television. Let me see, creative writing, and we have arts and cultural management, and yes, all this game and film. Of course, we have animation as well in this said courses. So it's a well diverse in the areas field of arts on its practice base.
Okay,
So
so yeah, sorry.
uh, yes. Okay. So we do have all this certification in which, for example, we have anywhere from diploma in music arts, fine arts, theater, creative writing. We have also, just example, we have degree for music composition, dance, acting, scenography, film and TV, digital games and animation. We have masters in creative arts and doctorate in creative arts. So all of this mapping is proportionally is practice based, in which just a rough layout towards there, it's more like a 70% of practice, 30% theory, which is a sort of a shift balance compared to other HEP or higher education providers. We do also provide CJ Kemahiran Malaysia, which is SKM, which is a certification, and CJ Seni Creative Aswara from internal as well, which is called the SSKA, and CJ Seni Tradisi Aswara, the SSTA. So these are all the mappings that we have offered towards the said students.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess you can call your graduate artists, right?
Well, they are practitioners.
Okay.
In terms on artists, it remains to see their career path. So and how they are well dedicated in terms on the rigor, on the required areas of the industry. So it's a whole lot of a gamut range on what sort of industry that they get themselves involved in.
Okay. So basically, there's a notion that those working in the arts sector, have a hard time getting being gainfully employed because working as an art, working in the art sector is based on as and when the opportunity comes. It's not like being a doctor or a lawyer where the jobs are quite, frequent, and you also get, you get to go to the office, get employed in the office. So basically, my question is like, do your graduates, right, like have a hard time getting employed after they leave the institution?
Well, it depends on the industry that they are in. Employment requires a certain structure or framework of an industry that supports towards this sort of career path. And also the nature of the disciplinary tracks that they have, it's sort of we have an integration towards a freelance nature or the gig economy. And also it's a diverse skills and discipline in which have a different sort of dynamics in comparison to a structured industrial tracks that you had mentioned before, just like engineering, law, and medical studies and so forth. So the resources and actually the invested areas have a sort of a different framework on its own. In terms of employability itself, it depends on how they get themselves involved in the rigor of creative field. So monetary or monetized gig economy is something is random. It is geopolitically aligned as well, and the demand of the clientele that comes with it. So it depends on what they do as well. So they tend to be multidisciplinary and also interdisciplinary in practice.
Okay, so does your organization Aswara conduct any annual survey to get the employability rates of your grads?
We do be mindful because of the past few readings. Of course, we know that the onslaught of the pandemic had sort of gave not to say a false reading, but however a shifted reading. So current and realistic, it's at 77%. 77% is, I'm just laying down all the cards here. It's because of the impact of this sort of reading by nature, because of it is a trend that is shifting towards gig economy, digital nomads, and content creations. The numbers are in update. It's not appropriately updated in the survey form because the contemporary trend on creative employment and methods of income generation do not subscribe to be like, oh, here's an employer, hence you are employed. So in short, they find their resources and means of earning through various pockets of projects that they are involved in. So in short, employment doesn't follow to the conventional understanding. So they are employed in their own ways of towards how they practice.
So is it correct to say they have a real job, 9 to 5, and then they do their creative work on the side, or what is the proportionate of being full time creative workers as opposed to people who actually have a real job, like maybe any 9 to 5 job that just bring in consistent money, and then on top of that they do like their creative work on the weekends or something like that after 9 after 5. Do you
Oh,
go that deep or?
well, in terms of depths of it, well, all jobs are real job. I'll be honest with you on that one. Um, Everybody have bills to pay. Earning. This is a trend that is not to say a trend. This is the nature of things. Creative trends or creative parts are codependent in terms on what they do towards risk taking.
Mhm,
So this is the nature of creative actions.
mhm.
It is always something more on threading into the areas of the unknown. Not to say to be highly philosophical in terms on how to answer this particular part. Yes, there some of them actually do partake in terms on the bread and butter daily 9 to 5 job, or some of them even do part-time jobs, and then they do creative works on the side. Some people on the holistic or towards the ideas like, why do you do this when it promises very inconsistent way of earning income? The reason being is they do it because it needs to be done. It's in their blood. Is in their unsettled mind that the things of this creation needs to be created, or actions that is being taken, so that they have certain appropriated value in terms on the satisfactory of creation of things. So this is how I would narrate it towards in creation. This has been like this for many perpetually since the industrial revolution itself. So how artists are they in terms of employability and so forth, it had already been shifted, and it's sort of we have a different dynamics as well.
Okay. So most creative workers, right, they obviously most of them go on social media and put their work out there and get discovered that way. Some of them actually come to places like Aswara, get qualification, and then get discovered their way. So what are some of the benefits of getting a qualification from Aswara as opposed to a creative worker who just goes out there and puts their work out there? Like what's the benefit? Like do you like after end of their degree, you match them up with potential projects? Do you do stuff like that?
We do. Reason being is, well, the benefits for graduating from Aswara, because by the basis of Aswara is being created as in on the initial stage in 1990, and towards in 1994 is being built as the Academy Seni Kebangsaan, the ASK, and then it became Aswara in 2006 because we have our own Act 653, in which per se it circulates around the areas of traditional arts as a primary core value. And then the unique selling point, or actually the unique jewel of Aswara, is because we do have presets of Adi Guru. Adi Guru are grandmasters. These are within the foundation of the traditional art, in which they teach wayang kulit, and then they do teach mak yong, mek mulung, and so forth, because these are actually actual practitioners. And the Adiguru, these grandmasters are being practicing for more than 30 years. Some of them even reach at 50 years of practice. And they are teaching the kids the core traditional arts value towards that. So with this, it comes as a interconnecting values of specialized knowledge and the needed skill of towards the industry in this sort of limelight. Now, the thing is, once we look at it, because it hasn't much like any other institution that is in the areas of art, just like UITM, USM, and so forth, it has connection from the alumni themselves. So far, we have more than 2,000 alumni out there, and by far, a majority of time, if you go off to any creative industry, oh, are you an alumni of Aswara? Certainly, you hear that echoes around in the background. And then plus as well that we are also the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture affiliated, which means our siblings, which is the Balai Seni, Istana Budaya, Jabatan Kesenian Kebudayaan Negara, the JKKN, Jabatan Warisan Negara, and Tourism Malaysia is our siblings. So it's all interconnected as well. So the graduates tends to go off to work to JKKN. They do need performers. So is Istana Budaya, and then there are some also in terms on management also goes to Jabatan Warisan or the Balai Seni itself. So it's all a sort of a pinnacle start and network towards as a feeder to these state agencies. And then with that as well, it comes as a strong hand in hand in which as what Aswara role is towards all these spaces and places.
Okay, great. So I spoke to a Malaysian actor recently, and he told me that Malaysia has no proper accrediting acting school. So only acting classes provided by veteran actresses or actors on an ad hoc basis. So would Aswara take up the challenge in producing its own acting school in the future, or you already have one? Like, I don't know.
We do have one. Aswara has a degree in acting from the Faculty of Theatre. If that helps. It carries many relevant courses that contributes towards acting career as a profession, because by principle it has what we call as it taught the methodologies of bangsawan, choreography, voice projection, the musical elements, scenography or the creation of scenes, theatrical play. So it is accredited by MQA, full accreditation. So the degree is recognized globally. So Aswara does have this in terms on acting, if that sort of accredited degree or certification that is being mentioned here. So
So
it's already having that. And plus we do have short courses as well. that comes with it, the SSTA, SSK, as mentioned before, Saja Kemahiran Malaysia, that have a short burst or short courses in various pockets of a body of knowledge that has been distributed towards the area of acting.
So how long has the acting course been available on Aswara?
If I gather it correctly, it's certainly more than 5 years. And it runs through accreditation by the MQA, because we do need a cycle of auditing that occurs periodically, and what we call it as the quality improvement that is needed towards making sure that the courses being taught are relevant of today's needs.
So are there any famous actors that you can give me names of Malaysian actors who've done the course and have gone out to, get a movie or
Well,
two?
I'm sure they are. Oh my goodness, the names of the actors. I have to give you the list in a bit, because we do have a whole selection of lists in which it skipped my mind at this particular point in time, that we do have alumnus in that runs through from the Faculty of Theatre itself.
Okay, great. So how much does it does it cost to get qualified in Aswara? Is it an expensive? Do you get PTPTN loan
No,
or
no. In terms of PTPTN, we don't. But however, fundamentally the cost of programs in Aswara is already stipulated in our website, which is considered like one of the cheapest for fully accredited, globally recognized certificates. We do have foundation program in which runs at only 890-ish ringgit for 1 year course. You can do your diploma, the whole diploma, anywhere depending on which programs, 5,500 to 5,900 ringgit. The degree is 7,000 to 7,500-ish. Masters at 4,000 plus, PhD even at 7,000 over. It is almost jaw-dropping in comparison to all other IPTs in terms on the prices that is being offered. That's why the sort of way the seats are very, very limited to gather all the students to come in towards Aswara. So pretty much it's like one had to rush over and actually see, because the fees are very, very low in comparison. And this has been a directive as well as how the Act or the ACTA has been built, because Aswara is being built to help the community to get themselves out of poverty through the visibly as culture workers or art practitioners, that once you graduate from Aswara, in which we, quote unquote, we certify them as practitioners, it does not only get themselves out of poverty, it gets themselves and their families out of poverty as well. So it's very, very important that our ambition is to make it accessible.
what do you mean by globally accredited? So if I get a qualification from Aswara, so I can use it in Berkeley or
Sure.
like,
Certainly,
oh,
MQA, which is a Malaysia qualification agency, in which I do as well documentations for them. So for the pembangunan documentation, in which we do revamps on certain documents, in which I recently done in arts and design, creative multimedia, technology program standards. These are very, very important documents in which the whole Malaysia must adhere to and abide, so that it keeps up with the quality that there is an assurance. Any institutions that gathered and gain the full accreditation, in which we do have MQA/FA, which means fully accredited, and then there's an assigned number, usually it's 4 digits, that in which is actually certified as recognized by MQA and Board of Governance. And usually you can go to Berkeley and say, does your certificate have the MQA accredited? Yes, it's been recognized. It's been recognized, and most universities globally would recognize MQA certificate.
okay. So the next question, the arts workers, like creative workers in Malaysia, are not unionized, making it difficult for them in many fronts. So, especially during the pandemic, right? A lot of them were in a jam because not many got EPF money. So, would Aswara help the industry in the future on this, or it's not Aswara's business? They're just there to teach people how to be really good creative workers, and that's it.
Well, it involved political will. certainly. And it takes more than just a small, tiny gear in the whole ballistic of the wheels. Well, if we look at unionized art workers, it's different per se to, it's not to say only different, but it's difficult to actually classify it as a unionized sort of movement. This perhaps is it should be reserved for another sort of discourse, but because I put it in a summary, because art workers or art practices, it's freelance nature, so there is no directive, and it is because of its freelance, because due for reason because of the diverse skills and disciplines. There are various recognition disciplinary tracks. Even in arts and design, it has roughly about 9 disciplinary tracks. In creative multimedia technology, we have 12 disciplinary tracks, and all of those disperse in various forms of requirements in the industry. And also that art workers have a different power dynamics in comparison to structured industrial tracks. And certainly, this is all not just only in Malaysia, but any country in the world. They have limited resources and fundings that have an empathetic, uh, allocated distribution towards this sort of areas because of all of the mentioned above. Perhaps it might have a different retrospective if this is looked into as cultural-based workers instead of art workers, because usually the way on how one looks, they might have, it tends to have a similar framework as all other industrial track, but this perhaps have a better uh, appropriated discourse towards this sort of direction.
Okay, I just thought of one thing while you are giving me an answer just now. Do your Aswara give any course on how to freelance workers, like because the cultural workforce is basically freelance, on how to do invoicing, how to ask for bill? Yeah, do you
Yes,
have?
really, it should be under the arts and cultural management. We do have what the SKM, the SST8, all the short courses also available to those that is imbued. Professor Ruslan had introduced one particular project which is going to be up and about soon, which is called as the Future Creative School, in which specialize in lifelong learning. The lifelong learning are in series of various short courses that comes with all of this, because there are many instances no one can be dedicated to 2 years of not working and dedicated to learning, but they can afford like weekend courses or few days or certain tracks or weeks to actually upskilling and reskilling themselves. So business or invoicing certainly falls into the areas of arts and cultural management. So
Oh,
certainly it has a component towards that.
awesome. Okay, so what are some of the interesting plans you have for the institution in the future that you can share? That's not sensitive or anything.
Well, the directive of the good the good rector himself, Professor Ruslan, gave us as a overall two particular simple yet a very tall order words: internationalization and digitization. These two retrospect, I put it in summary. Internationalization is very, very important. It puts a foothold on where Aswara stands globally. I mean, we do have our significance on a national level, but we do need to understand how we do in on an international, regionally, and also globally as well. But because of this, this is why we do need international students on our floor. So hopefully as well, we have international staff, academic staff on our floor as well. So we can have traditional arts goes beyond just merely in conventionally um, just only in Malaysia. It can be actually be affiliated elsewhere, because traditional arts, it has many homes global on a global scale. Because I give an example, we do have Studio Gamelan in Chicago. So
Oh,
arts, yes. So local or the Nusantara traditional arts is actually highly valued just as well on the Western counterpart. So all of this, we look at it in this way. It doesn't require a Malay or Malaysian to carry Malaysian traditional art. It can be run, it can be appreciated, it can be practiced by any particular people with a diverse background as well. So that's what the hopes towards internationalization. Well, digitization is certainly an important piece as well because of all things being expedited since the event of pandemic, which comes as a double-edged sword. It has its curse and blessing. It sort of gave us a realization the importance of having an what we call it as a digital footprint. And we know that since Aswara's establishment, we have various assets in the sense of recordings, digital footprints or videos, and also we are looking into the areas of metaverse just as well, so that we can understand how body of knowledge are being disseminated on that sort of platform. So imagine that we do have contents, a lot of contents of not only of Malay, Chinese, Indian, Borneo, and also of tangentially the regional traditional arts. But this is where actually we need to understand how this particular assets can be valued, not just economic sense, but in a centralized way. So this is where we have ambition to be as a creative hub towards traditional practice.
Awesome. Okay, so this comes to my final question. So I want to know, what is the demographics of your students? Are they more women or more men? And then what are the age group? Like, do they come in like after 18 and get a qualification in Aswara?
Yes, the objective for Aswara i- is in the objective of our playbook, in which we are the higher education provider. We provide education commonly towards after Form 5 or after high school certificate, after they leave and have a high school certification, where in which usually after SPM or after STPM, we take students in to run into our foundation, diploma, and also degree, and all the way up to PhD. And we have running on short courses in terms of CGL. It doesn't only limit school leavers, but it also opens up to the workforce as well. Just recently, we graduated. What was it? The Navy, Angkatan Tentera di Laut, Raja di Laut Malaysia, in which 80 of them graduated with diplomas.
Oh,
80 of
in
in
what?
uniform. It's a wonderful sight to see them in the graduating ceremony, because all of them are in their white uniform, handsome and tall, and they are in unison in terms of height just as well. It's so confusingly surreal as well. It's like, wow, they are getting diplomas in music,
Oh,
because of course all of the uniform bodies have a musical unit. It is part and parcel of increasing morale, and also part and parcel of display of their prowess during celebrative day as well. So they have a certain function, and they use this diploma to for their promotional usage as well. So that's where we have a serving purpose towards that direction. And of course, we do have a all in the future creative school as well. We want it to be a lifelong learning, and also upcoming micro credentials, in which it's all of it. It's not limited by for high school leavers anymore. I mean, anyone can actually start learning traditional arts on their own time. So this is where we are mapping out in terms on what kind of modulated units that we can offer to the public.
awesome. Okay, with that, I come to the close. So thank you so much for,
I think
uh,
I didn't answer one particular areas. You did ask about the distribution of students. The
yes.
current Yes, the current reading is we are at 80% of Bumi Putra or Malay, and then we do have 10% of Chinese students, and 5% of Indian, and also the rest, roughly about slightly more than 10% of people from other states or other races. So we are at that sort of a shift, but it's going to be a different trend and distribution once we get the internationalization starting to be in the pipeline.
Awesome. So I think we'll wrap up today because I know you have a flight to catch. So, all right,
It's,
that's
it's a
all the
pleasure,
time.
Raju. Mhm.
All the time that we have for today. We have been speaking to the Aswara Deputy Rector, Professor Azril. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us today. Really, really insightful conversation with you just now. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. It's a pleasure as well, Miss June. It's certainly is enlightening and also a lot of good reminder of things to come as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. And the pleasure is all ours. So be sure to catch us the next time as we aim to interview another interesting individual from across the globe. Thank you very much.